Have you ever noticed a strange contradiction in your own heart? You dream of a simpler life. You crave quiet. You imagine a future where the relentless demands of the world fade away, leaving you in absolute peace. You tell yourself that if you just had fewer responsibilities and less pressure, you would finally be able to breathe. And yet, the moment you are given an empty hour, an unscheduled afternoon, you instinctively fill it with noise. You reach for a screen. You turn on the television just to have sound in the background. You find a chore that does not really need to be done. We tell ourselves we are exhausted by the chaotic pace of modern life, but the second the rushing stops, a quiet, unsettling anxiety begins to rise within us. We find ourselves incapable of simply sitting in an empty room. Why do we run from the very stillness we desperately claim to want? Here is the truth few people want to face. We use noise as a shield. Buddhist wisdom teaches that our suffering often comes from a deep aversion to simply being with ourselves. We attach our identity to doing, to moving, to consuming, because stillness can feel uncomfortably close to emptiness. We are taught to fear the void. In Buddhist thought, the mind is often compared to a restless monkey, swinging wildly from thought to thought, branch to branch, terrified of letting go and dropping to the quiet earth below. Imagine a jar of muddy water. If you constantly shake the jar, the mud stays mixed and the water remains cloudy. You cannot see through it. But if you simply set the jar down on a quiet table and leave it alone, something beautiful happens. Without any effort at all, the dirt slowly settles to the bottom. The water becomes crystal clear. Most of us are terrified of setting the jar down. We believe that if we stop shaking our lives with endless tasks, worries, and digital noise, we will lose our momentum. Or worse, we will have to finally look at the mud resting at the bottom. Look at how we navigate our days. When a natural pause appears sitting in the car for a moment before walking into the house, waiting in a quiet line, waking up early before the rest of the world, we instantly reach for our phones. We flood our minds with opinions, images, and the manufactured urgency of the outside world. We are terrified of what the empty space might reveal. We confuse a busy mind with a full life. Ask yourself, what are you avoiding when you instantly reach for a distraction? What emotion, what memory, what unresolved fear is waiting for you in the silence? Are you truly seeking a simpler life, or are you just wishing for a more comfortable form of escape? Pause, breathe. The next time an empty moment arrives, do not rush to fill it. Let the silence exist around you. Notice the sudden urge to grab a distraction and simply watch that urge pass, like a single cloud drifting across an open sky. You do not have to obey it. You do not have to perform. Let the water settle. You are allowed to be still. Because peace is not something you build by adding more comfortable things to your life. Peace is what remains when you finally stop trying to escape this exact moment. But sitting with that silence is only the first step. To truly embrace a simpler life, we must understand what happens when the noise finally fades. And this is where the next truth begins. What if the silence you fear is actually the only place where true healing can begin? Here is the truth. When we finally strip away the noise, the background music, the endless scrolling, the constant stream of trivial tasks, we are left alone with our own minds. And for many of us, the uninvited mind is not a gentle place. It is a room filled with echoes of old regrets, anxieties about tomorrow, and the quiet, persistent feeling that we are somehow not doing enough. We run from silence, not because it is empty, but because it is painfully loud with the thoughts we have been trying to outrun. We try to control our environment, so we do not have to confront our inner landscape. In Buddhist teachings, this initial discomfort is a well-known part of the path. It is the raw encounter with the self. Mindfulness is not always the blissful, serene experience we imagine. Often, it is the courageous act of sitting with our own hidden suffering without looking away. The practice of mindfulness teaches us that we do not have to fight these thoughts. We do not have to force them into positivity or logically solve them. We simply have to observe them. Buddhism reminds us that thoughts are just passing visitors, not permanent residents of the soul. Imagine walking into an old, forgotten house. For years, the windows have been boarded up, and you have avoided going inside because you were terrified of what might be lurking in the shadows. But one day, you finally pry open a window. The sunlight pours in, and suddenly you see what was hiding in the dark. It is not monsters. It is just dust. It is old furniture covered in cobwebs. It looks messy and perhaps a little sad, but it is not dangerous. The fear of the dark was far worse than the reality of the dust. Think about your own life. Think of a quiet afternoon when your plans fall through and you are left entirely alone in your home. The silence presses in. The immediate, almost physical urge is to text someone, to leave the house, to find a problem to solve at work. We treat a quiet mind like an emergency. We have been conditioned to believe that if we are not producing, reacting, or consuming, we are somehow slipping behind. We fear that if we sit still for too long, the world will forget us. Or worse, we fear we will realize how exhausted we truly are by the way we have been living. Ask yourself, what happens in your mind when all the screens go dark, when you lie awake? In the middle of the night, what are the thoughts that rush in to fill the empty space? Are you actually afraid of the silence, or are you afraid of finally hearing your own voice? Stop, breathe, let that sink in. The next time the silence feels heavy, do not instinctively break it. Sit down with it. Let the uncomfortable thoughts rise. Acknowledge them. Notice the heavy feeling in your chest, but do not claim it as your identity. You do not need to solve the thought. You only need to witness it. Let the feeling rise, and then let it pass, like a leaf floating down a slow-moving river. Because the thoughts you run from will always chase you. The only way to take their power away is to stop, turn around, and look at them in the light of day. Once you do, the silence is no longer an enemy. It becomes a sanctuary. But there is a deeper reason we resist this quiet emptiness. Society has taught us that an empty space is a wasted space. We have been convinced that a quiet life is a failed life. And this is where the next truth begins. 3. Redefining ambition. What if the life you are working so hard to build is exactly what is keeping you trapped? Here is a truth we rarely question. We live in a world that equates motion with meaning. We are conditioned to believe that more is always better. More responsibilities, more connections, more goals to conquer, more things to manage. If we step back, if we choose a quiet evening over an exhausting social event, or a simpler routine over a title that demands our absolute exhaustion, a quiet guilt creeps in. We feel like we are falling behind. We look at an uncluttered, simple life and mistakenly see a lack of drive. We equate simplicity with giving up. We are terrified of being perceived as unambitious. But Buddhist wisdom teaches that true wealth is not the accumulation of worldly success, but the absence of craving. The concept of non-attachment does not mean you cannot have goals or that you must own nothing. It means that nothing should own you. When we base our self-worth on constant forward motion, we become chained to our own desires. We suffer because we believe that our current state is never quite good enough, and that true peace exists just on the other side of one more achievement. Imagine a small boat moving across a deep, wide lake. The person rowing the boat believes that to be safe and successful, they must pull every piece of driftwood, every shiny stone, and every heavy box they find out of the water and into their vessel. They are working tirelessly. They are incredibly ambitious. But soon, the boat is so full of treasure that it begins to sink. The water creeps dangerously close to the edges. To save themselves, they do not need to row harder. They do not need to find a better way to organize the heavy stones. They simply need to start throwing things overboard. Letting go is the only way to stay afloat. Think about your own life. Think about your career, your social obligations, the endless list of goals you force upon yourself. You are carrying so much weight, terrified that letting go of a single commitment means you are lazy or irrelevant. You grind through burnout to prove your worth to a world that is too busy carrying its own sinking boats to even notice yours. You fill your calendar because an empty square feels like a failure. You confuse a heavy burden with a meaningful life. Ask yourself, are you actually ambitious, or are you just heavily burdened? Who are you trying to impress with your exhaustion? What are you afraid will happen if you finally put down the weight? Pause, breathe, look at the invisible weights you are carrying today. The need to please a certain person, the pressure to reach an arbitrary milestone by a certain age. Choose just one of those heavy stones and mentally drop it into the water. Watch it sink. Do your part, then release the outcome. You do not have to carry everything, because true ambition is not the relentless pursuit of more. True ambition is having the courage to protect your peace. It takes profound strength to choose a simple life in a world that profits from your exhaustion. But to protect that peace, we must first recognize how we subtly sabotage it. We must look at the quiet spaces we have already cleared and ask why we immediately rush to clutter them again. And this is where the next truth begins. 4. The illusion of empty space. What if the space you think is empty is actually the only place where you can finally breathe? Here is the truth. We view empty space in our lives, time without plans, corners without things, moments without sound, as terrifying voids that must immediately be filled. If a weekend suddenly clears up, an anxious itch begins under our skin. If a conversation falls quiet, we panic and rush to fill the silence with meaningless words. We cram our schedules with trivial tasks, our homes with unnecessary objects, and our minds with endless streams of information, all under the delusion that we are making our lives full. We are so uncomfortable with a blank canvas that we ruin it by throwing paint at it just to cover the white. In Buddhist thought, emptiness is profoundly misunderstood in the modern world. Emptiness is not a negative void. It is not a lack of something, nor is it a sign of failure. In Buddhist wisdom, emptiness is seen as the ultimate potential. It is the fertile ground from which everything beautiful arises. Space is not something to be feared or conquered. It is the essential element that allows true form, clarity, and peace to exist. Without space, there is no movement. Without space, there is only suffocation. Imagine a beautifully crafted room. If you keep bringing in more chairs, more tables, more heavy art, trying to make the room as rich and impressive as possible, eventually you cannot even walk through the door. The beauty is lost in the overwhelming clutter. You cannot invite anyone in. You cannot rest. The true value of a room is not found in the walls or the heavy furniture you pack inside of it. The true value of the room is the empty space in the middle that allows you to move, to breathe, and to live. As ancient wisdom reminds us, a clay cup is only useful because of the empty space inside it. Think about your own daily routine. Think about those rare evenings when you suddenly have an hour of nothing scheduled. How quickly do you invent a problem to solve? You decide to reorganize a closet, you answer work emails from the couch, or you lose yourself scrolling through the lives of strangers. We treat empty time as a mistake in the schedule, a failure of productivity, rather than a necessary clearing for our minds to rest. We fill our calendars and our physical spaces because we confuse a crowded life with a meaningful one. Ask yourself, why does an empty hour make you feel so restless? What are you trying to prove by constantly producing, even in your moments of supposed rest? Are you truly making your life rich, or are you just making it heavy? Pause. Breathe. Today, try to leave one small space completely empty. Let a 15-minute gap in your schedule remain an open gap. Do not pull out your phone. Do not find a chore. Do not look for a distraction. Just sit and exist in the open space. Let the feeling of doing nothing wash over you without trying to change it. Because a full life is not a crowded life. A full life is one that has enough room to let the light in. But this constant need to fill every corner, both physical and mental, eventually takes an invisible, heavy toll. And this is where the next truth begins. 5. The exhaustion of constant accumulation. What if your exhaustion is not from a lack of sleep, but from the sheer weight of everything you refuse to put down? Here is the truth few people want to face. We are tired, deeply, fundamentally tired. But our response to this exhaustion is completely backward. When we feel empty, our first instinct is to acquire. We try to fix our burnout by adding more to our lives. We buy more organizational tools, more self-care products, more books on how to find peace. We plan elaborate vacations to escape the lives we just spent years building. We accumulate possessions, titles, responsibilities, and even relationships, believing that if we just gather enough good things around us, they will act as a fortress against our internal unease. We walk through life carrying an invisible backpack, constantly bending down to pick up heavy stones of expectation, and then we wonder why every single step feels so impossibly hard. In Buddhist thought, this endless cycle of gathering is recognized as a profound source of suffering. It is the act of clinging. Buddhist wisdom teaches that the pain we feel is rarely caused by the world itself, but by our desperate grasping onto it. We hold our identities, our possessions, and our achievements with a white-knuckled grip. We spend so much energy trying to protect what we have accumulated that the act of holding on becomes our greatest source of pain. True peace, we are reminded, is found in the gentle art of non-accumulation. Imagine an old oak tree standing in a dense forest. As the cold winds of autumn arrive, the tree does not cling to its dying leaves. It does not try to hold them onto its branches out of fear. It does not worry that the other trees will think it looks bare, vulnerable, or unimpressive. It simply lets them fall. It allows itself to be stripped down entirely, surrendering to the quiet stillness of winter. By letting go of what it no longer needs, the tree conserves its life force. It survives the harshest season not by gathering more, but by choosing to hold on to less. Think about your own daily life. Think of the crowded rooms in your home, filled with items you bought to feel a fleeting sense of comfort, which now just demand your attention and space. Think of the career path that drains your spirit, but you hold on to it tightly because the title provides a sense of importance. Think of the exhausting emotional energy you spend trying to maintain connections that only take from you. You are completely exhausted because you are constantly playing defense. You are guarding a heavy mountain of accumulation that does not even bring you joy. Ask yourself, what are you endlessly defending? If you stripped away the impressive titles, the busy calendar, and the material clutter, what would actually be left? Are you tired because life is truly that hard? Or are you tired because of the heavy armor you wear just to get through the day? Stop, breathe, look around you today. Identify one physical item that holds no meaning, or one trivial obligation that feels like a weight on your chest. Let it go, give it away, cancel it, or walk away from it. Notice the tiny, immediate breath of relief that follows. You do not have to carry everything you pick up. Because true rest does not come from sleeping longer. True rest comes from carrying less. But putting down this weight requires a specific kind of bravery. It requires us to step out of the frantic race, even if people misunderstand us. And this is where the next truth begins. 6. The courage to subtly withdraw. What if stepping back is not an act of defeat, but an act of profound self-respect? Here is the truth few people want to face. We are terrified of fading into the background. We live in a culture that rewards the loudest voice in the room, the busiest schedule, and the most visible life. We believe that if we stop answering every call, stop attending every gathering, and stop over-explaining our choices, we will be entirely forgotten. We equate visibility with value, and so we force ourselves to show up. We perform, we engage in arguments that drain us, and we try to fix situations that are not ours to fix, simply to prove that we are still here and still matter. We are completely exhausted by the performance, yet we are terrified of leaving the stage. Buddhist wisdom teaches an entirely different path. It speaks to the immense power of quiet retreat. This is not a physical running away or hiding from the world in fear. It is a gentle, internal withdrawal from the frantic energy of the crowd. In Buddhist thought, non-attachment applies not just to physical objects, but to other people's opinions, to attention, and to the desperate need to be seen. True strength is found in the ability to observe the chaos without feeling the need to join it. Buddhism reminds us that your worth is not measured by how much noise you make, but by the depth and clarity of your quiet presence. Imagine a deep, ancient river flowing directly through the center of a loud, modern city. The city is frantic. Horns blare, people rush, but the river does not speed up to match the traffic. It does not crash its waves against the concrete walls to demand attention. It simply flows, quietly and powerfully, entirely undisturbed by the frantic, shifting energy above it. The river does not need to prove its strength to the city. Its power lies in its deep, unbreakable current. Think about your own life. Think about how often you feel pressured to instantly reply to a message, to engage in a meaningless debate, or to apologize for simply wanting to stay home. You feel this pulling, heavy urgency to constantly validate your existence to others. You drain your own spirit trying to manage how people perceive you, terrified that if you take a step back, you will lose your place in their world. You have convinced yourself that setting boundaries requires a loud fight or a dramatic exit. But true boundaries are quiet. Ask yourself, whose expectations are you still exhausting yourself to meet? What are you afraid will happen if you simply stop explaining your choices? Are you engaging with the noise because it brings you peace, or because you are deeply afraid of being invisible? Pause. Breathe. The next time you feel the urgent need to defend yourself, to jump into a draining conversation, or to prove your worth to someone who is committed to misunderstanding you, just stop. Let the moment pass without your interference. You do not have to announce your withdrawal. You do not owe the world your constant engagement. Let them think what they will. Let the noise continue without you, because you do not need permission to protect your energy. It takes immense courage to walk away from the applause and choose a quiet life. But once you do, you discover that what you left behind was not success, but a cage. And this is where the next truth begins. 7. Simplicity as the ultimate richness. What if the wealth you are endlessly chasing is nothing more than a collection of empty promises? Here is the truth few people want to face. We spend our lives pursuing abstract markers of success, completely disconnected from what actually sustains us. We measure our value in societal credits, paper notes, and the fleeting approval of strangers. We chase after a kind of paper wealth in our personal lives, stockpiling achievements, titles, and material clutter that look impressive from the outside, but leave our inner lives entirely starved. We trade our tangible reality, our limited time, our physical rest, our quiet mornings for things we cannot even truly hold. We buy into the illusion that a more complicated life is a more valuable life. In Buddhist thought, this is the grand illusion that keeps us bound to suffering. We attach our deepest sense of safety to things that are entirely impermanent and abstract. Buddhist wisdom teaches that true richness is not the accumulation of external concepts, but a profound return to reality. It is a shift away from chasing paper illusions toward recognizing what the human spirit actually needs to survive. The quiet mind, the steady breath, the unburdened heart. True wealth is found only when we stop trusting the false promises of the world and return to the simple, tangible truth of the present moment. Imagine a man who spends his entire life building a massive, towering palace made entirely of beautifully painted paper. He works day and night, adding rooms, towers, and grand halls. Passers-by marvel at his incredible wealth and ambition. He feels very important. But the moment a strong wind blows or a heavy rain begins to fall, the entire structure dissolves into a wet, ruined mess. He is left standing in the cold, realizing too late that a simple, sturdy wooden cabin built on solid earth would have offered him infinitely more safety and warmth. Think about your own life. Think about how much of your daily anxiety comes from maintaining your own paper palace. You sacrifice your weekends, your sleep, and your peace of mind to protect an image, a status, or a lifestyle that requires constant, exhausting upkeep. You are rich in stress and entirely bankrupt in stillness. You have forgotten that true value is no longer measured in how much you can show the world, but in the things you can actually touch. The solid earth beneath your feet, the warmth of the sun, the steady rhythm of a calm heart. Ask yourself, are you building a life of true, tangible peace, or are you just stockpiling empty promises? What would happen if the fragile systems of external approval you rely on suddenly collapsed? Would you have any real, solid wealth left inside you? Pause, breathe. Step away from the abstract noise today. Put down the phone, walk outside and touch the rough bark of a tree, or feel the cold water run over your hands at the sink. Ground yourself in what is real. You do not need more credits or more achievements to be worthy of taking a breath, because simplicity is not a lack of ambition, it is the ultimate realization of what actually matters. But recognizing this truth is only part of the journey. The final challenge is allowing the dust to settle once and for all. And this is where the final truth begins. 8. Letting the dust settle. What if the simple life you have been frantically searching for is already here, just waiting for you to stop running from it? We began this journey by looking at a painful contradiction in our own hearts. We crave the quiet, but the second we are given an empty moment, we flood the space with noise. We run from the silence because we are deeply afraid of what the stillness might reveal about our own exhaustion. We constantly shake the jar of muddy water, convinced that constant motion, constant planning, and constant accumulation are the only ways to survive. We have lived for so long in the noise that peace feels like a threat. But as Buddhist wisdom reminds us, the end of suffering begins the very moment we stop resisting the present. Letting go is not about losing what you love, and it is certainly not about giving up on life. It is about releasing your painful grip on the illusion of control. A simple life is not defined by having an empty calendar, living in a bare room, or abandoning all ambition. A truly simple life is defined by having an unburdened mind. It is the deep, quiet trust that you are entirely whole, exactly as you are, without needing to perform, produce, or accumulate one more thing to prove your worth to a loud world. Imagine you have been walking for years through a harsh, blinding dust storm. You have been fighting the wind, shielding your face, and pushing forward with all your remaining strength, because you believed you had to reach some distant, perfect destination to finally be allowed to rest. You thought the struggle was the only way, but suddenly you simply stop walking. And because you stopped, the wind dies down, the dust slowly begins to settle out of the air, the sky clears. And as you open your eyes, you realize you are already standing in a beautiful, quiet clearing. The peace you were exhausting yourself to find was not miles ahead of you. It was always right there, hidden underneath the storm you were so busy fighting. Think about your own quiet moments tomorrow. When the world demands that you rush, you can consciously choose to walk slowly. When the silence inevitably enters your room, you do not have to instinctively reach for a screen to chase it away. You can let the quiet wrap around you. You no longer have to equate your exhaustion with your importance. You can finally see your simplicity not as a lack of drive, but as the most profound, hard-won richness you could ever possess. Ask yourself one final time, what are you still trying to prove, and who are you endlessly trying to prove it to? What would happen if you just stopped fighting the silence, put down the heavy stones, and let the quiet heal you instead? Pause. Breathe. Let the water clear. You have carried enough. You have worried enough. You have planned enough. The noise of the outside world will always be there, pulling at your attention, but you no longer have to let it live inside your mind. You are allowed to be still. If these lessons touched your heart, share this video with someone who may need a little more peace today. You can let the dust settle now.